Main Street is more than just a collection of storefronts and sidewalks. It is the heart of the community. When it thrives, our entire town thrives. But revitalization doesn't happen by chance. It requires vision, like that 6th floor, investment, creativity, and above all, collaboration. That's why we have brought together 3 experts who each represent a vital piece of the puzzle. Economic growth, which sparks opportunity and draws people in. Real estate development, which brings new life to our buildings and spaces. Design and aesthetics, which shape how we experience our streets and how proud we feel of the place we call home. This panel is about exploring how these forces work together. So as you listen, I encourage you to think about not only the expertise coming from our panelists, but also about the role each one of us can play in the larger vision for revitalization. So, gentlemen, and Ms. Becky, if you would to come to the table, find your seats. So Jeremy, you want to raise your hand? Jeremy serves as Vice President of Community and Economic Development at Lancaster City Alliance. He supports the organization's efforts to foster commercial investment, support small businesses, and deliver transformative community outcomes aligned with the city's economic development goals. He earned a BA in Geography from Millersville University and earned a Master's of Urban and Regional Planning and a graduate certificate in Real Estate Development from Portland State University in Oregon. Jeremy and his family proudly live in Southwest Lancaster City. Jim Wenger is a registered landscape architect and principal of the company Derck and Edson, with whom he started his career in 1985. Derck and Edson provides landscape architectural, civil engineering, and land planning services. He received a BS in landscape architecture from Penn State and is highly involved in higher education and downtown projects. Jim currently serves as president of the Pennsylvania Downtown Center, of which Mainspring is a proud member of. And he has also served as past president and board member of Venture Lidditz, Downtown Lidditz Main Street program, sort of our counterparts here in Ephrata. Don and Becky Murphy serve as owners and principals of Cimarron Investments in Columbia. Together, they are deeply committed to the revitalization of their community through commercial and residential real estate development, renovations, and leasing. With Don's strong background in the construction industry and Becky's hands-on leadership in operations and community engagement, they bring a complementary skill set that drives successful projects and lasting impact. Their work spans business planning, negotiation, sales, retail, and asset management, with a shared focus on optimizing operations, improving efficiencies, and delivering projects on time and within budget. Lifelong residents of Columbia, they firmly believe in investing in places they call home, saying, "We choose to invest in the communities where we live so that we can be a part of telling a better story and awakening the potential of people, places, and commerce." So let's give our panelists a quick round of applause. And let's get started on the discussion. So to set the stage, to all panelists, in your view, what are the key ingredients for a vibrant, economically thriving small town or urban neighborhood? And we'll start with Jeremy.
All right, here goes. Pressure. I think, I've had the opportunity to live and work and study in a number of cities across the country. And I think one of the things that really stands out to me that is really critical to a community's success in that regard is the collaboration and engagement and partnership from within the community. Without that, you can't start moving toward any other goals. And I think we're very fortunate in Lancaster to have very strong collaboration and partnerships, and that's boded very, very well for us, and I think we're very lucky in that regard. And I think the fact that so many of you are in this room tonight here supporting and championing Ephrata says a lot about how Ephrata is doing in that regard as well.
I would echo that. It's really the investment of the residents of your community. For decades, we all sat back and just watched our downtowns disintegrate, for lack of a better word, and we didn't think we could do anything about it. Well, you can. The hole may be a little bit bigger than maybe it was 30 years ago, but we can still make a difference. So step by step, getting people involved, getting them passionate and caring about your community all makes a difference in moving things forward. You can't just rely on the economics of who's in your downtown to make your downtown survive. You need to support them, encourage them, volunteer for things that really bring people and activity to your downtown space. Your residents should feel like they have ownership of your downtown. This should be a special place.
Okay. So we basically took a look at this and we broke it down into three different elements. First being economic diversity, a healthy mix of small businesses, larger employers, and anchor institutions that bring stability. Walkability and aesthetics, and attractive land or streetscapes, historic preservation, and accessible public spaces that encourage people to linger and return. Collaboration and vision, partnerships between local government, developers, businesses, and residents to pursue a shared vision rather than fragmented efforts. And we believe, and I was able to serve on an ad hoc committee for the most recent comprehensive plan in Columbia, and I think that's a very important plan to have for communities, small towns, to have an idea of where you are and where you want to go, and involve everybody, business leaders and residents as well, to plot that out. But anything you want to add to that? Okay.
Great, thank you. So I hear community involvement, leadership, and residents working together. That seems to resonate quite strongly in your comments. So Jeremy, how does Lancaster City Alliance support small businesses in contributing to the city's broader economic growth?
Well, we in Lancaster do that in a number of ways. Again, it comes back to my first answer, that engagement. For many years now, going back almost 20, the Lancaster City Alliance and the Downtown Investment District, which is actually managed by the Lancaster City Alliance currently, has engaged the small business community to become part of the success and to advocate for issues that are important to them. We bring them together monthly. The third Wednesday of every month, we hold a monthly merchant meeting. And that meeting group started 20 years ago, very, very small, just a handful of engaged small business owners that cared about downtown. And we're proud to say that today that group is 60 to 75 strong as of yesterday's meeting. And so that group and that meeting provides opportunities to talk about issues that are important to them, but also network with one another, share news about events that they have coming up, and we found that it really helps to plant seeds that grow, that attract people to the downtown, to the core. Things like First Fridays and Small Business Saturday, Those kinds of events are always so successful when you have the engagement of your merchants. We also we also play a role in marketing the city, Lancaster City Alliance, and we do that very closely, hand in hand with Discover Lancaster, which you're all familiar with, the countywide regional marketing agency, but also locally in the city of Lancaster, the Lancaster Office of Promotion. So making sure that not only folks that are visiting our region are finding all those businesses in our city, but the folks that call Lancaster County home as well, making sure that we're marketing to those folks. We also recognize the importance of resources to small businesses. Businesses sometimes can't always thrive on their own, and so there may be a need for grant money or loans, support and mentoring. And we recognize there are so many organizations throughout the county that help and provide resources in those ways. A few years ago, we had an idea to create a new coalition of those resource providers. So you may recognize organizations like SCORE or Assets, Community First Fund, the Chamber. So they're all doing similar things to support small businesses and help serve those businesses' needs. But how can they all work together? So one of our proudest achievements as an organization is creating the Cultivate Lancaster Entrepreneurship Coalition, which has helped to more efficiently and effectively serve our small business community to make sure that they can grow and thrive. I won't hog the mic, so I'm going to turn it over to Jim.
I have a separate question for Jim. But before I get to that, I just wanted to say, Mainspring of Ephrata, our organization, when I first started, I held a Zoom call with Lancaster City Alliance because I wanted to start a facade improvement grant program. And led by Marshall Snively, your CEO, I learned so much from this organization. And many of the things that they offer in Lancaster City, we here in Ephrata are also offering. So we're much smaller fish in the pond, but we are sort of mirroring that. And there's so much influence, I'll tell you, those merchant meetings that you hold, our merchants, some of our merchants here on Main Street are attending those meetings. Marion Cruz, who owns Hello Dia, just relocated to West Main Street. She just attended, Wednesday morning? Is that when it was? Yesterday? Yeah, she came. And she was so excited. She had a huge list of notes, and she's sharing them with our entire Downtown Business Association. So very influential, and not only that, that's that whole partnership, that's whole collaboration. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to spend time and energy on creating new resources. We are learning from those who have already laid the path. So just wanted to say that. Jim, how do streetscapes and the visual character of a place influence economic vitality and business attraction?
Well, I could outline numerous studies that have been done across the country with lots of data and bore you to death. But the reality is that your streetscape does make a difference in how people take ownership to your downtown. And when I talk about streetscape, it's not just the curb and the sidewalk. It's the curb, it's the sidewalk. Is it clean? Is there graffiti? Are there weeds? Are the windows of your retail shops interesting when I walk by and they're not open? They're not open and I'm looking and I'm watching. When I walk by in the evening, are there lights on in those same retail shops so I can appreciate what they're trying to do even if they're not open? Is there a scale with shade trees? You have lots of planters. Do the shop owners have planters and flower boxes? Are there interesting things in the windows? Do they change their windows on a monthly basis? Or is it the same window that's been there for 5 years? All those things create the streetscape and the experience that your residents want to feel in your downtown. Some of them are very simple. You have some windows where they close the blinds at nighttime. Shouldn't be doing that. People should be able to see in and see what's going on and see the activity. People, I work in other communities, they would kill to have the width of sidewalks you do. Many of the towns I work in, the sidewalks aren't much wider than this table, maybe twice as wide. You have a plethora of bridges almost to the extreme where the scale is almost so big, you need to figure out ways to pull the scale down a bit so it feels more comfortable and intimate for those who are using your downtown. I did want to make a comment about Lancaster City. They, 25, 30 years ago, could have walked away and said, everything's going downhill, there's nothing we can do. They did not do that. They could have said, oh, the convention center's coming, that's going to take care of everything. Well, I work in other communities who have convention centers and are still struggling. Lancaster City has gone much beyond what has been given to them to support their local businesses and help them thrive. So take notes, there's other cities coming to see what Lancaster City is doing because they're so successful.
Don and Becky, from a developer's perspective, what makes a location attractive for investment or commercial revitalization?
I'm going to let my wife answer that, but before I do and hand off the microphone to her, I would like to underscore what Jeremy has said. When we started redeveloping in Columbia about 12 years ago, it was pretty much a ghost town. And when we acquired Hinkle's Restaurant, which was an institution and an icon downtown, and really got into not only developing and repurposing buildings, but then also running a restaurant and then a retail store, we understood the importance of streetscapes and weeds and planters and all of that. And we've done a lot of that, and it's starting to flow over to where other businesses are noticing and doing the same thing. So there's something to be said about, planting that seed and having it, grow throughout the town. And it is a challenge. It's hard to get everybody on the same page. About 5 years ago, myself and a few business people formed a merchants association in the downtown. And one of the first things we did was attend a merchants meeting with the Lancaster City Alliance. And we're not a Main Street program like you have here. We're more grassroots and starting from scratch. But it's a lot of work, and it takes a lot of volunteers and a lot of time and a lot of buy-in from the business community. We had a Chamber of Commerce that had a payroll and had to do events just to maintain their existence. And when we had the bridge bust in Columbia, on the bridge between Columbia and Wrightsville for 20 plus years, that was their golden egg for their organization. But when COVID hit, it pretty much put them out of business. So we were without any type of business association in the downtown, and we're slowly getting that back. New businesses are catching on and coming to town, and we're trying to engage them to create. Our mission is to put foot traffic in the street, get them to your store. Once we get them in your store, it's your job to sell them something. So that's pretty much how our mission is for that association, and it's a lot of work. So I will get back to the question at hand and hand this off to you.
You're such a... He loves to talk. So 3 things that we like to look for is authenticity and character. You have so many beautiful buildings down here. I mean, they are gorgeous. They kind of replicate some of the ones that we have in Columbia, especially the windows. Just, it tells a story. And if you've ever been to Columbia, somebody that knows somebody knows a story about every single building in there, that they will talk to any investor and tell them, I was a kid, I sat there. I sat right there at that counter. And they love to hear that kind of stuff. So that's the kind of things that we look for, so we can preserve and highlight that, when we are looking and we want to sell that space or rent that space to a commercial tenant. Community momentum. So we want to make sure that our investor knows that, our community is invested. And Columbia has never really we've had a bad rap for no reason, but it's coming up on the map. People are starting to see, we're not that little town we used to be. We have a beautiful river, we have the trail, we're building a hotel, things are happening. So people are starting to see that. I will tell you, some investors from Lancaster have come up. So, we are making some stride. And then, like I said, Another thing we look for is infrastructure and access, strong connectivity to the roads, the bridge, and proximity to like popular centers like Spooky Nook is going to be one of our main. That's one of our main goals is to have their people come over. Today they come over. We have a lot of groups that come over from Spooky Nook just to go to Hinkle's or just to walk the town because they want something to do. There is nothing to do over at Spooky Nook other than, when you have 9 hours between, volleyball tournaments and you're just sitting there, you're like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? They come to Columbia. Like literally, they come over, Turkey All Experience is there, they come there, then they come to Hinkle's, or they just walk around. I don't know if you see them in Lidditz, but we do get a lot of them. So that's pretty much what we do, what we look for.
I have to say, I was one of those growing up when we talked about Columbia, what the impression, the immediate gut feeling of Columbia was like, it's not safe, we're scared, don't go there, and how far it has come. It's unbelievable. And it truly is with the river and the trail, the destination. And Ephrata, you know what? We are not that much different. We really aren't. We have a trail coming right into the center of our business district. We have an Ephrata mountain just right for hiking and creating a recreation destination on the mountain. We have beautiful architecture, a fabulous history in the Ephrata cloister that we can point to where we started. So all of this, we have the right pieces. We have got to get the mix together, and get that recipe. And I don't think it has to be a magic recipe. We have everything we need. We just need to work together and have that vision and have a positive attitude about what we are given here in this town. So.
Can I follow up on that?
Sure.
With Columbia, we've always envied Lidditz. I'll admit it, and you guys have every bit the same look and feel and atmosphere that we're trying to get to. And yes, we've had a negative rap, for better words, for generations in Columbia. And when we acquired Hinkle's and renovated everything inside, and we would walk around and talk to different people that were dining there. More than one occasion, we had groups from Lidditz dining there, and it was a pretty good feeling to know that we've accomplished that people from Lidditz are coming to us, and it's usually the other way around. So little things like that, and hearing, the reputation's changing in Columbia, and we're part of that. So we're obviously honored to be part of that, and it's certainly a good thing for your community that was had a black eye for so many years, and it's turning around. So
we have the exact same feeling about Lidditz too. It's like Lidditz. We had several weeks ago a lady coming off of the rail trail came into the train station, which is the Welcome Center. And she said, I'm from downtown Lidditz, and I never realized what all Ephrata has. I'm so blown away. It's great. What a fabulous town. And we just, we wouldn't let this woman go. We just hugged her, and she was half scared to come back. But tell her your friend. So, okay, thank you. To all panelists, how do small business vitality, real estate investment, and aesthetics work together, or sometimes in conflict during revitalization efforts? And Jim, you have the microphone, so we can start with you.
Well, there's always conflict. That's the easy part. I think the challenge is to work together, decide what your vision is, and then frankly promote it. I went on the Venture Lidditz board in 2010. So we went through a visioning process, and at that point, we probably had 8 pizza shops, 6 sub shops, and not much else. And so, the complaint was, we love Lidditz, but we can't really eat here, we need to go somewhere else. So we wanted to change what we had in our downtown, and we decided to promote ourselves more of a foodie town. Well, if you come to Lidditz now, we have an oil shop, we've got exotic meat shop, we've got a butcher, we've got, I don't know, 6 different restaurants that are not sub shops. So we intentionally decided what we wanted to be, and we started to pursue those businesses so that we are more of a hospitality center that also has shopping rather than shopping with no hospitality.
Yeah, I think about the conflict sometimes too, and sometimes the growing pains that come along with investment in your community. You're building new buildings, you're fixing the streets, you're building new sidewalks, and sometimes that can be a little frustrating to your business owners. When is this going to end? This is hurting my business, but you have to sometimes remind everybody, this is the cost of progress, right? And bear with us. We're going to get through this together, and just imagine how great it's going to be when it's all done. How do small business vitality, real estate investment, and aesthetics work together? I think it's all about the place, and how do you build upon that place. And it's sometimes easier when you already have a great start and you're already a pretty good place. I think Ephrata seems that way to me. How can you take Ephrata, which already has some great bones, and how do you build upon that and do it in a way that not only builds upon a vision that the community has collectively for that place? To Jim's point, what's the plan? What's the vision? But how do you do it in a way that creates some excitement? When you pull the trigger and you finally start to execute that vision, piecemeal, gradually by little investments along the way, people start to notice, and it starts to create an energy that's almost magnetic that people want to be part of. And I think we've seen that in Lancaster. I was born and raised in the city. I still remember going to the Watt and Shan department store. Many of you probably remember that in downtown. And remember when that closed, when Woolworths closed. And when I was in high school, Lancaster City was, especially downtown, was sort of a dead zone. There wasn't really much to do. But it was in the early 2000s when I was working in some restaurants there that I started to witness some of that investment happening. And it really was magnetic, and it was pulling people in from the county who weren't willing to come downtown before because for whatever reasons they thought it was unsafe, etc. But they were able to build upon that, and more investment came, and even more investment until you saw what we have today. So it almost creates an energy if you're willing to just pull the trigger and start bringing some investors to start executing that vision. I think you'll see that magic happen.
Thank you. For us, I think it works best when everybody is aligned. You have real estate investment that's providing quality spaces, small businesses bring those spaces to life, and aesthetics, both building design and public realm improvements. They attract customers. Conflict arises if development prioritizes profit without regard to community character, or if aesthetics raise costs that small businesses can't absorb. The balance comes from developers, towns, and business planning together. Another thing I would touch on too is how well your zoning board or part of the piece of the government performs in your town. For example, and I'm sure you experience it here and possibly in Lidditz. You said about all the pizza shops. We right now have an oversaturation of smoke shops, vape shops, tattoo parlors, and more than enough pizza shops. And it's a capitalistic free enterprise society, and people can open what they want. But we're developing a major hotel brand, and 2 doors up is a smoke shop that just opened. So it's not what we want to necessarily convey, and it's hard to get even not just out-of-town developers that come in, but business and property owners in the downtown that have been there to kind of, hold off, wait for that ideal tenant. You have a hotel coming a couple doors away. If you can stick it out, you might want to be more selective in what business you allow to come into your space. But it always seems like whoever comes along with the security deposit and the first month's rent gets the lease, and that's what you have. So we have been pressuring our borough to make some zoning changes and to be more proactive on that. So they're in the process now of changing the ordinance for smoke shops and tattoo parlors to be in the highway commercial district. So the ones that are there now, whenever that day comes and they're not there, another one cannot move in. So that's a good use of zoning in my point of view. So you need a diversification of storefronts, and sometimes it's hard to get that without having that big anchor. And we certainly hope having a Hampton Inn in downtown Columbia is that big anchor. And you guys have one too, and I'm sure you can relate.
So I think the other thing for business vitality is to look at your economic data, look at your spending patterns, and you decide what you think your community would be interested in and wants. And then you let your property owners know, ideally we'd like to have A, B, M, O, and Q. We prefer not to have E, F, and G. You may still get E, F, and G, but eventually you'll be able to work through the cycle. Sometimes you have to be patient, but your property owner should know what you're trying to recruit so that they don't just take the first deposit that comes on a Monday. When there might be something else on Wednesday, we can help them be a little patient.
Absolutely. I have to interject at this time. You talk about having a plan for Main Street, for our designated area as an organization. And we do. We have our 3 primary goals for revitalization that we are laser focused on accomplishing in the next 5 years. And how many know what they are? Because I talk about this all the time. Number 1, make Ephrata a recreation destination. Number 2, brand Ephrata as the place to be through historic preservation and increased vibrancy. And 3, create a safe, clean, and green downtown. Those are our 3 primary goals to accomplish that we feel will revitalize our downtown. And where do we come up with these ideas? Well, it's community surveys, feedback from the community, it's through market analysis, what those opportunity gaps that we need to fill and take advantage of, and to recruit those kinds of businesses that will help to fulfill those 3 primary goals. So I always preach it, can't preach it enough. So what you're saying is exactly what Mainspring is pursuing. I talk about our business association. Well, it's more than that. It's actually our Downtown Property and Business Owners Association, because we are doing everything we can to build relationships with property owners for that exact reason, to encourage them to get on the same page and bring in those kinds of businesses that will fulfill those goals. So just want to echo everything you're saying. It's just spot on. Okay. To all panelists, this is in the challenges and opportunities category. What are the biggest challenges you face in your respective fields when trying to sell the idea of revitalization in a historic or undeveloped area? And for the purposes of Ephrata, let's focus on the historic areas.
I would say most people in your community probably think everything is fine and we don't need to change anything. And again, I'm from Lidditz, and so I keep telling them, we can't sit back and rest on where we're at. We need to keep pushing as to what's next. So you need to keep telling people that change isn't bad. 200 years ago, Ephrata did not look like Ephrata looks today. And you're all proud about how Ephrata looks today, right? Do you think 200 years ago they were complaining that a building got modified and changed to what it is today? So change isn't always bad. Change in a good way that complements what you have in your downtown is very important. So putting up a building with tiny windows that you can't see in or out of, that's not adding value to your downtown. But adding buildings with a lot of glass on the first floor that you can see in and out and gives that sense of safety and security, that adds value to your downtown. So just because they're making a change to a facade is not the end of the world if it's done in a way that fits with the character of your community.
I know I may get shunned for this, but I know some of the challenges we face, because every building we buy in Columbia is a historical building. So we have challenges with the historical board, where we want to use present day material, and they're like, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that.
I didn't realize Columbia had a harp.
Oh, yes, we do. And yeah, sometimes they don't like us, but that's okay. we have our challenges, but I mean, in order for people to want to develop, it has to be economically fiscal for them to do so. You can't say you have to purchase these windows that are $9,000 compared to ones that are the exact same thing, except one has wood in them but has vinyl clad, and the other one is just vinyl. They're the exact same window. You have no clue one has wood in, but there's a $7,000 difference. When you're putting in 200 windows in a building, that's a lot of money, and that can kind of, make investors shy away. So I wish that I understand we want the buildings to look like they did back in the day, because I am all about that. However, there is present day material that can help us along the way and make it last longer than it did prior. So that's some of the challenges that we face presently with that, so.
I would just say, you guys don't have a harp here. That's amazing, because you have such beautiful buildings and architecture, so you're doing fine without one, so I don't see a need, from my opinion, but you may have a different opinion, but it is good for Columbia to have that, but sometimes, as my wife said, they do go a little overboard on certain things, but for the most part, we have a lot of history and historic buildings and facades in our town. We certainly try to preserve that. We've won a few awards, so I think we're doing the right thing, and it may not be the ideal material of choice by them, but I always say, if you can't touch it and feel it, but you can see it and it looks right, then yeah, it's not a bad thing. So.
Just a quick example, in Lidditz, we had a property owner who wanted to renovate a residence on Broad Street, 501. Had to go to the zoning hearing board and the historic review board. They ran them through the mill, I think, for 12 months, would not let them modify to the level they wanted to. We're under construction. The facade pretty much fell down because the structure was so bad. Well, today, if you drove by, I don't think you could tell what it was before versus what it is today. It is phenomenal. In fact, I would say it looks better than what it looked like before. So again, change isn't always bad as long as it's in the context of what your community has.
I would just add, you said specifically to address historic areas. So most of the city of Lancaster is historic. So, but I would say one challenge we face currently with regard to revitalizing historic corridors or neighborhoods is maybe some misunderstandings about the market. So I'll use Manor Street. Is anybody familiar with Manor Street in the city of Lancaster? The road between Millersville and Lancaster in the city. years ago, decades ago, that was vibrant with many small businesses and shops. I think over 40 at one time, all little storefronts, with apartments above. And as the economy declined after World War II, a lot of those ground floor storefronts were converted to apartments, and that worked for a long time. But after a while, there were no more storefronts left. They were all converted to apartments for the most part. And so Manor Street, part of our economic development plan for the city is we'd like to see our main corridors come back to life with shops and businesses again, including Manor Street. And so convincing some of those residential landlords that they should convert their storefront that's been turned into an apartment back to a storefront has been a big challenge, and it's been a tough argument to make. And we do know that there's a big need for smaller shop space in the city, and the shop space downtown tends to be very expensive, especially the newer stuff. So the market would indicate that there is opportunity to do some of these conversions, but no one's really willing to take that risk yet, especially in a place that's economically depressed, a corridor like Manor Street. So that's one challenge that we're facing currently.
Thank you. So one final question to you all. If you could implement one strategic initiative in Lancaster tomorrow that ties together small business support, development, and aesthetics, what would it be? Lancaster, Columbia, aesthetics, or just general aesthetics? What would your one strategic initiative be?
Can I go first, Jim? And can I talk about you a little bit?
No.
So I'm very pleased to say that we are getting ready to embark on a strategic initiative. We're getting ready to implement a very exciting project in the heart of downtown in Lancaster. So everybody's familiar with Penn Square, of course. The key blocks off of Penn Square, North Queen Street, East King Street, and West King Street, as well as the buildings that sit on the square themselves. It's a total of about 65 buildings. We were very fortunate to receive some grant funding from a philanthropic partner that helped us to do a study on the lighting conditions in this area that I'm talking about. And so looking at the street level lighting, the boulevard lighting, the storefront level lighting, but also the lighting of the facades of the buildings themselves. And so I was really proud to have the opportunity to partner with Jim, specifically on the Derck and Edson team and Windward Lighting Studio. And that study is now complete, and it has some very specific recommendations, unique lighting recommendations for our beautiful architecture that we have downtown in Lancaster that will enable us to literally shine a light on that at night. And so following the completion of that study, we've now been able to attract grant funding to start implementing that to the tune of over $500,000. In total, it's about a $2 million project, and we're hoping to fundraise 100% of it. But next month, we will likely see the beginning of implementation, so we'll start to see some of those buildings light up, hopefully next month. And I think that project, that initiative has a lot of goals, but one is to increase the lighting to support safety, to make people feel safer as they're walking the streets downtown. Again, lighting up that beautiful architecture and celebrating that architecture that people are drawn to in the city. And when we do that, it creates this really exciting, attractive environment, this nighttime streetscape that we hope will also benefit our small business community as well.
Is that the end of our evening?
No.
Okay. I would love if every downtown community could streamline an approval process for those who are reinvesting in your downtowns. If you could make it, I don't want to say easier, but assist whoever through the process and take 2 or 3 months instead of 6 or 8 months, you've now put yourself ahead of normal development that occurs in suburbia, because it takes time to do work in suburbia. So if you're able to put things in place, not giving things away, but assist to streamline the process so it could occur more effectively and efficiently, I think you'll find more interest in investing in your downtown.
I would follow up on that and agree and underscore Columbia Borough is essentially a proactive business borough, and they have done that. So zoning, planning, and council approval for projects has been streamlined where you have multiple meetings in the same month that you can cut down half the time for certain things to keep a project moving. So it was a good plan for them to adopt and do that specifically for that reason, to encourage development and to be open door. I would also add to that having a good facade and streetscape grant program can only help. However it's funded, I know a lot of boroughs, our borough is one, we had a tax increase this past year, and they're struggling with that, and so it's hard to raise funds to do this, and like you're doing in the city, it's all private, and that's unfortunately how things have to get done. And you can't rely on your local government, and you probably shouldn't. So I would say things like that either a merchants association or sponsors or something to help do a program like that with hanging baskets on your street lights, planters. We've done a lot of that, and to see neighboring businesses put planters out that never did before, it's like everything else. They can't. It's like a neighborhood. You can't have your neighbor have a better looking lawn and landscape than you. So it kind of feeds that in the business community downtown, which is always a good thing, and that's just good old competition. But it creates vibrancy, and that's the key. So however you can encourage that and get a program like that is very important. And I see you have a good streetscape here, and maybe you have a program in place for that. It'd be interesting to know what works for you guys. But that's what I would like to say about that. And I have a question for Jeremy. So the lights that you're putting in front of the shops, who's paying the electric? I'll get right to it. Like, how does that get done? Like, is that
Yep, sorry. Just so everybody can hear me. And so fortunately for the property owners, the bulk of the cost, the upfront cost, which is the cost of the fixtures and the installation of those fixtures, is being mostly funded by the grant funds. Now, the property owners will be on the hook for the operation of the lights, but fortunately the light fixtures will be LEDs, and so literally pennies on the dollar per year to operate them.
So what do you do when you have a business owner that comes in and the lights go out and they don't replace them and things like that? They turn them off for whatever reason. You have this hodgepodge of lights. So I'm just curious if you guys have an idea for that. Because I like the idea, I love the idea.
He wants to do it now. I'm just telling you, I'll be calling you tomorrow.
So we thought really, really carefully about that actually, because we're investing a lot of money, right? And we want to make sure that those resources are being invested wisely. So we spent a lot of time strategically with the lawyers and putting some agreements together to make sure that the property owner understands that once these are installed, it's their ongoing responsibility to make sure that they're functional. If they need repaired, they're responsible for getting them repaired or following up with the manufacturer to get the warranty taken care of. And if they don't, they can be in violation of that agreement.
Like a code violation. Very good.
See, that wasn't just rehearsed or planned or anything like that. You truly wanted to know. So this is another advantage of having this panel of experts, because they're learning from each other, like live at the same time.
We'll share all those secrets with all of you, by the way, and you can copy it. And you've got some beautiful, amazing buildings on Main Street here in Ephrata. I'd encourage you to think about that too.
So we do have a facade improvement grant program. The first one, round one, is completed. $50,000 was granted to Mainspring to run its program, and so we issued little mini kind of micro grants for that, and all that money has been expended. So that's a great success, and it impacted 7 different properties. So we have applied for $100,000 in the second round, and we will find out hopefully by December if we will get that full $100,000. And then more micro grants can be issued for more properties to be improved. So it's a very successful program, and we're so proud to be a part of it. Anybody have any questions for our panel of experts? Any burning questions?
I got one, Joy, but it's not the one you think.
Okay.
Everybody knows that one, so it's okay. How did you guys attract more, I would say like night spot restaurant type of things? We have a couple small ones. We got a really good microbrewery right down the street. But we live in Ephrata, and we tend to go to Lidditz or go to Lancaster to eat nice evening dinner type of stuff. How do you get more of that in downtown?
So we used to have that problem at Lidditz, and we looked at our dining out data, which floored me how much was being spent by our residents within our borough or a 3-mile radius. Outside of that 3-mile radius, the numbers were staggering. So we could tell there was an extremely high demand for something other than pizza and sub shops. So I know PDC can give you economic data that you can peruse, and they can tell how many times you eat at McDonald's and all that kind of good stuff. So.
And we do have that information, so come visit.
And then when you're out dining, we were very intentional telling our board when you're out dining at a restaurant you like, ask them if they're looking for another location, or if they know someone who might look for another location. It's the best way to find out in that cluster what the going interest is to start another restaurant. The biggest complaint we had getting restaurants was staffing. There's no way I can open another one. I can barely get enough people to run this one.
And the liquor license issue, is that part of it probably too? That could be a challenge sometimes.
It could be a challenge. It was probably the staffing issue that was more severe than the liquor license issue.
Thank you.
Any other burning questions?
What we have here in this community, though, I think is extremely unique. And when you look at all the boroughs and communities, I mean, Strasburg's a neat little community too. But it's just like, obviously you were here tonight. I mean, you're working at it, and a lot of potential.
Thank you.
Just got to unlock it.
Well,
Thank you.
I would echo you have great bones, and I think you just need to polish it a little bit to really make it shine. And it's simple things. Lights on in the windows at nighttime, having your retailers change their displays so I don't see that the materials have faded or they're dusty or whatever. People want to see and they want to be seen. So your goal should be that your residents on a daily basis, when they do their walks, they're walking through your downtown because there's a reason to walk through your downtown. When I walk in the evening at home, I'm going through our downtown because I want to see what's going on. People want to see and they want to be seen. They want to feel ownership of your downtown.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, just in Columbia alone, some of the things that we've seen, when Don and I started doing, I don't even remember what building it was. I think it was the third and Locust, the 301.
Yeah.
When we started doing 301, it was horrible. It had, what was it, T1? It had
T111 plywood.
on it. It was
The large
disgusting.
windows were shrunk down years ago.
And we started pulling stuff off of it, and I was just like, oh my God, there's a gem here.
Yeah.
And we started fixing that up, which kind of created other people. I mean, just a coat of paint on just one like dilapidated looking building, a coat of $1 million. I mean, just how much does paint cost? $100? I don't know, but just one coat of paint just makes a huge difference. And once one person does that, your neighbor's gonna start doing it. They're gonna start doing it, and people are gonna be like, they take notice. They're like, wow, that's a really nice paint job. Like, we hear it all the time, like, nice paint colors, Don. I'm like, he didn't pick them, I did. But, you know, so, yeah.
So, in the interest of time, I just want to say a few closing remarks. Everybody is welcome to stay longer and talk to our panelists. We do not have to be out of here by a certain time. So let me just say my closing remarks and then we can ask more questions. But I wanted to bring it all home. I want to come around full circle. And we see that revitalization happens when small businesses, real estate, and aesthetics come together with one shared purpose, creating a Main Street that is truly thriving. But just as importantly, we are reminded that collaboration is not only about ideas, it's about investment. So your support as partners, donors, and friends of Mainspring, both your partnership and your financial commitment makes this vision possible. Every gift fuels the momentum, helping a small business open its doors, transforming a neglected building into a vibrant space, or enhancing the beauty of our streets so they welcome both residents and visitors alike. When you give to this mission, you are not simply funding projects. You are helping write the next chapter of our community story. You are ensuring that Main Street, Ephrata, remains a place of opportunity, connection, and pride for generations to come. On behalf of our team and all those whose lives are touched by the work, thank you. Your belief in what we can achieve together is what turns vision into reality. Let's carry this spirit forward as partners in building a Main Street and a community that is stronger than ever. Let's create Main Street magic. So just a reminder for those who do need to leave, grab your plant that is your little party favor that you're taking with you. The tags that are attached to each of the plants are actually seeds. So read the tag and then put it in the ground and water it and watch something grow. Also, just a reminder, we are launching a Ephrata Mountain Survey. It's also on the table with the plants. It looks like this. Scan the QR code and take the survey. It's only 10 questions. It's really quick and easy, but we really want to find out what the overall community thinks of the idea of creating the Mountain Springs Recreational Preserve. Okay, so thank you so much for coming tonight. Thank you to our panel of experts. We can all stay and talk some more, but for those who need to leave, feel free to go. And grab some food on the way out.